Hello everyone, good afternoon, and welcome to the second workshop session of the day. My name is Sean van der Vliet. I'm a solutions consultant at Tealium, and it's my pleasure to talk today about data orchestration for business impact. Before I go into the topic itself, I just wanted to briefly share a short little experience I had a couple weeks ago. Actually, it wasn't even my experience per se, but my car got involved in a car accident. Now, don't worry, everyone's fine. There is no one injured. It's just damage. But of course, what led after was a series of phone calls with my insurance company as well as the lease company. And I noticed that, throughout my experience, each time I spoke with somebody about, what has happened and how to deal with the issue at hand, no one really was informed about anything. So it was clear that there was obviously no information shared. Context wasn't properly carried over, and there was also no history. So you can imagine that from my point of view, it was quite a frustrating experience. And that's exactly what today's session is going to be about, is to showcase how data orchestration can turn those disconnected and fragmented experiences into real-time, intelligent, integrated journeys. Let's zoom out and have a look at some other scenarios of what I call a blind customer experience. Maybe in the audience here, just by show of hands, who else has spoken to customer service last year and felt that the agent or the company you were speaking with had zero information or context about what you were calling? Cool. Similar as in the previous session, pretty much everyone, which is quite shocking, isn't it, nowadays, that with all the modern technologies, that we still have to go through this lengthy process. And it always goes roughly similar, right? So I always call it, let's start with the IVR maze. You get your phone, you call, you go through a menu, press 1 for X, press Y for 2, blah, 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 blah. And of course, sometimes you don't even know what category to choose because there's so many options, and you just try to call for a question or for get a status update on something. But yeah, in the end, after clicking through a menu, you finally reach the agent and you have to explain exactly what happened. They have no historical context, once again. And it turns out, you've been connected with the wrong agent. So you're transferred to another agent and the story starts all over again. So even though most of these companies, they have the data is not the issue. It's the way of connecting all of that information and using it in real time to have a personalized conversation. Now let's look at another example. I'm curious, if this is something that you've done as well. Let's say you go online and you are looking for a specific product. You find it and you might even add it to your shopping cart. But you are impatient. I mean, I always want the product as quick as possible, right? So I don't want to order it online. I actually found out that I can buy it in the store nearby. So I just go into the store, purchase the product, go home, and then for the next week, 2.5 weeks, I'm retargeted with ads and emails saying like, hey, complete your purchase. There's still products in your cart. They might even throw in, a discount voucher as well, right? So in order for you to complete your purchase, which you've already done. Once again, frustrating from a customer experience point of view, but more importantly, also a missed opportunity from a company and a business point of view. Because instead of wasting media budget, you could have also offered complementary products instead, and you might have even sold additional products as a result of that. So all of this is what we like to call the digital blind spot. So as mentioned before, most organizations, they don't necessarily have a shortage of data. They just lack the ability to connect it. Because data sits in silos, right? You have your web and app data, you have your CRM data, your loyalty data, and most organizations nowadays work with a data cloud or a data warehouse. So in conclusion, you have the data, but you really lack the reflexes to use it properly. And this is exactly what the digital blind spot is all about. It's the gap between the data that you already have and your ability to use it in the precise moment that you're interacting with your customers and prospects. And this is where Tealium comes in. Tealium provides a real-time customer data orchestration layer that connects these systems, standardizes data, and makes it actionable across your tech stack. On the following slide, you see a simplified version or an overview of Tealium's real-time customer data orchestration platform. And I'd like to highlight the 5 core key steps. And additionally, I briefly want to talk about 2 key features that I think are important as well. But let's start with the 5 key steps. We see collect, standardize, transform and enrich, integrate and activate. It all starts, of course, with collecting data across all these touchpoints, as mentioned before. From there, we can standardize and enrich that data into real-time, consented and contextual data, so all the systems in your stack speak the same language. And lastly, we provide you with turnkey connectors and APIs to integrate and activate with your existing tech stack. So all the channels that you're using are up to date with all the real-time contextual information. That's the rough process of data orchestration. Now let's talk briefly about those 2 ideas and features that I was mentioning before. The first one is about AI truly knowing your customer. So Tealium can actually fuel AI models, including large language models, with real-time contextual data. In that case, your AI isn't working in isolation. It actually understands what your customers are doing right now, in this moment. And then on top of that, we can also, and importantly, we can also orchestrate any of the AI outputs in real time. So think about propensity scores, recommendations, next best actions, and pull these into your engagement channels or activate them into your engagement channels. And that's how AI becomes part of a true real-time experience as well. The second feature that I wanted to talk about is our integrations with the data clouds. So Tealium works with your data cloud in your data warehouse. We don't replace it. We can actually start to combine historical lifetime data, things like historical purchase information, lifetime data, loyalty information, as well as transactional information, and start combining this with real-time customer behavior. In this way, you get a true and rich real-time profile that understands who your customers are historically in combination with what they're doing right now. So every action and every decision that you make will feel relevant and timely. And this is both impacting the customer experience and, of course, your business results. Now, before handing it over to our next speakers, I briefly want to highlight the key benefits of Tealium customer data orchestration. It all starts with centralizing your customer data, as mentioned, across all those digital touchpoints to get one consistent view of those interactions. From there, we allow you to make decisions in real time by using a combination of turnkey connectors and APIs. Tealium will act as a neutral data layer with common data definitions and nomenclature. In that way, you can stay truly vendor agnostic. So you can swap out additional tools as you wish without having to rebuild or restructure your data foundation. Of course, importantly, we allow you to adhere with privacy regulations and consent preferences as well. So you have peace of mind that the data that is being used is actually according to consent and privacy restrictions as well. So it becomes part of the orchestration fabric and not just something you do as an afterthought. And lastly, but also importantly, we enable AI-powered insights and personalization, so your AI can deliver smarter, more human experiences in real time. So in conclusion, Tealium allows you to move from blind, repetitive experiences, like my insurance story in the beginning of this pitch, to really providing real-time orchestrated journeys, improving the customer experience and driving business value.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this session around data orchestration. Thanks, Sean, for the introduction. Before we start, a quick show of hands. Have you heard about EssilorLuxottica? Just raise your hand if you know about them. Well, way more people compared to the previous session, right? My colleagues apart, of course. So today with this session, you have the chance to hear from the largest retail empire on the planet, EssilorLuxottica. And even if you don't know the corporate name, I'm sure you know about the brands behind it. We are talking about the powerhouse behind icons like Ray-Ban, Oakley, or Sunglass Hut, shaping the future of eye care and eyewear through a retail network that serves hundreds of millions of people all over the world. So it's a massive corporate. As you can tell from the name, we are Italians, so please bear with us with some questionable accent. My colleagues already used to that. For the ones that is the first time, it will last only 20 minutes, right? So bear with us. Thank you for that. My name is Gianluca, and I'm part of the customer success team in Tealium. And today I have the pleasure and honor to host this session together with Gabriele Bodellini, CX Analytics Manager that lead the team at the intersection between e-commerce, customer behavioral and analytics, and I will say also data science. Yeah. So, Gabriele, welcome and thanks for sharing the story today with us.
Thanks, Gianluca. Ciao, everyone.
So we have already mentioned, and I've done, I think, a big intro about the company. No pressure, Gabriele, for this session. I would like to ask you your experience around data orchestration. So how you are facing that. We already said it's a giant. EssilorLuxottica is already a successful company. So from outside, I would say that you already have solved data. Actually, working with you and together with you, we know that the reality is different. So the bigger the company, probably the harder is when it comes to data orchestration. So I would like to ask you if you can share your opinion about that and where you are on the data orchestration journey in Luxottica.
Yeah, maybe I'm stating the obvious here, but well, data orchestration is complex for a lot of reasons. Some show perfectly. Some others depend on the company I'm in. So some part for the scale you mentioned before, and some for other reasons like the success that we have. Our situation within the company is quite unique, in my opinion. Even in the commerce environment, we have a lot of different pushes for innovation, some other more conservatives. We have a lot of different approaches and sometimes even different silos. So we need to move in this very varied situation and in environment. Another fact is that no one likes taking risk, which is, I think, common to everyone in the room. How we do manage this issue is through A/B testing every implementation. So we need to do a lot of A/B tests to have very stable results before proposing, or even proposing an idea, or of course making it actionable. So it's kind of tough sometimes. How do, as an analytics team, I said I work in the CX analytics, so in the e-commerce, how do we adapt to the situation? Well, our idea, my proposal is to, evolve our role. So I strongly believe that reporting on data is not enough. What we need to do is evolve our role in order to act on the insights we provide. So we say we want to grow through evolution.
And I genuinely love this say because at least in Tealium, we call it modern analytics, right? So we need to move from the legacy analytics, let's say legacy and use this word for this session, towards a more modern analytics approach where you pass and move from reporting data to more, let's say, insights and action. So moving from, let's say, be more proactive approach for your team. I would like to go deeper into this. So if you can share how you are approaching this journey towards a more actionable analytics team.
Yeah, this modern analytics, as you call to me, is providing something that other teams, stakeholders of my team, like for example, CRM, conversion rate optimization team, UX design, all that have some data to share with us, have something to align with, making them willing to share their data with us so that we can align data, people, and technology together in order to respond at our best to customer actions and needs, hopefully in real time with our technology. So the problem to me is never technology, is often people. So we need to align and bring them together. And for me, everything starts with analysis. I wouldn't do this job if not. And let me connect to the pyramid that we can maybe have a clear idea of what I'm trying to say and mean. On the top of the pyramid, we have the objective, our goal, the one we discussed before. Then, of course, we have the two pillars. One is analysis, and the other one is connections, meaning both the technological connection among tools, different tools and different sources, but also the connection with people. At the base, you have a data foundation, which for me means to work accordingly to a gold in, gold out logic, where our data layer works with a lot of data quality needs, so we lower the risk that we don't want to take, as said before. And while ensuring this data quality, we document every step, every choice we made in dictionaries and documents like that. We have a very well-managed tagging plan, for example, and stuff like that. And then you have audiences. And I think that everybody knows that a partial data is not enough data. So we are using this knowledge to show to everyone that a wrong data or not full amount of data can lead to errors. So you want to share with us all your data in order to obtain a sort of 360 customer view or visitor view in order to win fermentation and to provide the best experience as possible. Finally, we need to prove that our ideas, our credibility in this space is right, and we do that with personalization. It's like a buzzword, so it's easy to, break through the minds of our colleagues, of our stakeholders, when we provide the personalization use cases. So that's the idea that we provide. The type of idea that we provide in order to assess our credibility in the space.
Love it, and you are touching so many important things that I just want to highlight. Even one more time, you said aligning people first. So you already have all the technology that you need. Basically, you need to align people first, because we tend to think that technology is just that for achieving a data orchestration. Aligning people sometimes is the main challenge, and that's what we are facing, let's say, so far. Another thing that I want to stress a bit is data foundation and data quality. Again, we can talk about data orchestration, but without proper foundation, which is data quality and data foundation, you cannot achieve successful data orchestration. Lastly, last but not least, actually, personalization. So in your case, is the only way, I would say, to prove the value of your project, but actually is really important, I mean, for measuring the value of the project, deliver the right content in the right moment. And that's a very good, let's say, goal and project we are working on. I would like to bridge the gap between the strategy, so the explanation that we have done so far, and moving a bit more on the execution part. So if you can highlight some use cases, even if they are in progress, but the ones that are valuable for you, sharing some learnings, and if you have results, would be great.
Yeah, I'm real when I say that everything starts with analysis. So I have to bring you within the way we analyze things. We have like 2 or 3 clusters where we put analysis together. So you can consider clusters as type of analysis. And of course, we have behavioral analysis and products analysis, for example. In these blocks you see there, you have our first project in terms of personalization. We know for a fact that people using to visit our website and seeing a lot of product variants tend to spend a bit more than the average visitor. And also on the downturn is they tend to return the product they purchase with higher frequency than the average customer. So knowing that, we propose to orient these customers, these prospects, to a tool of ours, which is the custom configurator tool, which allows you to personalize the color of your frames and to match it with your preferred lenses color, which is a quick win because you gain more from that purchase. It's a bit more expensive than the standard sunglasses. And at the same time, you cannot return it, so because you personalize, so business is happy. The other behavioral analysis we have is about another configurator. I don't know how it is in the UK, but in the US you can purchase prescription lenses online. So you can configure it on the website. And a lot of people go through that funnel and then abandon it. And we discovered at the same time a lot of people were returning on the website, maybe not purchasing, but trying to get more information. So we thought to have an experience for them in order to try to convince them to complete their conversion. Then the products analysis. I think that what differentiates an e-commerce is mostly products. So, and a brand e-commerce in particular has a huge catalog usually. In our case, it's for sure like that. It's very huge. We have a lot of limited edition, a lot of product variants you simply don't find in stores or in other merchants or in other e-commerces. So our idea was to leverage it on this variety of products, applying a simple principle, which is the Pareto law. So we know that 20% of the effort makes the 80% of the results, in our case of revenues. So we focused not on the top products, which are easier to sell and to manage, but on the long tail, which is harder. And we kind of divided all the products and all the families of products we have into analyzable groups. And we are trying to propose personalization specific accordingly to the relationship between a visitor and the type of product they're visiting we're still working on it, and maybe next year we will see how it went.
Don't say that, it's a promise already, so that's the appointment for next year. I would like to go a bit more in depth on the use cases, so emphasizing maybe the results again and the learnings in case the use cases are still in progress. And also, if you can share to the audience how and where you are thinking to use Tealium products in each use case, or if you want to emphasize more in one, up to you on the approach.
Yeah. Maybe the next slide can help to imagine what I'm talking about. So imagine you're on a website and you're clicking all those tiles where you see different colors, and you're not finding the one you want. So we came up with this idea to emphasize that CTA, that call to action, which is customize it. And how did we proceed on that? We start collecting all the events change, where by event I mean color change, within Tealium audience stream. So we grouped them into audiences and brought that audiences into audience stream. And then we discussed with, design team, conversion rate optimization teams and designers, how to create an experience that would make the job complete. And after that, we connected the audience stream to our A/B test platform through data layer enrichment. And, we added this quite simple but effective experience that brought a lot of results for us, because nearly doubled against the control group the usage of the tool, and also in terms of purchase, it was amazing results. So business was happy. Then, I don't know if you want to also, discuss about this other one. It was a bit less effective than the other one, the one about prescription lenses. In this case, I think that there are still some low-hanging fruits to be used, because we noticed that we had a lot of great results in terms of experiment against control at the beginning of the funnel of the experience we proposed, but in terms of purchase, it wasn't so great. And to me, it was by the fact that the message we provided to the customer wasn't that good. And I think that maybe Tealium Moments IQ can help us in order to get more data and to identify a better experience and to orchestrate something that is more effective than the way we done at first. And about the products, so the very last one I mentioned, I think that an advantage for us will be to maybe through Tealium Audiences sites to provide a clear view of how all the products will be performing after we personalize all the experience of the long tail catalog I mentioned.
In order to have direct access into the data that are available in real time, in the right moment, and within the platform,
Exactly.
I imagine, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. Very last question for you today. We need to talk about AI. We know that everyone is racing towards AI. But we need to manage with the proper data orchestration process as well. So, taking into consideration the whole experience and all the journey you went through in the past years, what would be a practical step that you would like to recommend and suggest to the audience today to truly harness AI with strong data orchestration tomorrow?
Well, maybe it's your fault, but when you talk about AI, the first keyword that comes to my mind is context. So, hopefully, if you are in the position to start a data orchestration project in these days, you will be able to start with a clear idea. So the clear idea to me, a sort of promised land that we are trying to reach on reverse, is to build a unified, strong, solid data foundation-based model where everybody is involved and everybody is committed to. So that's where I want to land with all the projects that we have seen today. But if you are the chance to do, commit to building something like that. And you mentioned AI, so why I link it to context. This is where my journalism class comes for help, because the answer to me is, the principle of W's. So context means wondering who your customer is, where they are in their journey within your website or brand experience, what they're trying to achieve and do with your website, and most importantly, why that moment matters business-wise or customer-wise. If you provide the correct answers to all these questions, you are ready to start your journey towards data orchestration. So to me, if you inform with the context all your experience, your journey to data orchestration will be a bit easier than mine, and you're lucky if you if you do.
I couldn't agree more. So totally in line with your message. Gabriele, thank you very much.
Thank you
for
guys.
Sharing
Thank you.
your story.
Thank you.
I hope it was a valuable session for you guys. And right now, let me introduce Mark Reddin for the next session. Thank you very much again.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mark Reddin. I'm working in the customer success team as an implementation engineer, which is post-sales, helping customers deploy and configure Tealium and helping get the best out of it. So what I'd like to talk about is a use case, a hypothetical use case, but it's a use case that we did execute, and we can show you it, about just tying together some of the themes that we're discussing here. So imagine we're a financial institution, and we have a customer, Emma, let's call her, who comes to our website and is looking and clicking around, and she sees the homepage. I won't show you the whole journey, but she sees the homepage, she goes to the personal savings, and she enters her email address there. And then she clicks around some more, and maybe she enters her email address again on another page, and eventually she sends us this message: I can't access my account. Well, by itself, that message isn't very helpful, because, well, a customer service agent might look and say, well, is there something wrong with the account? I might start checking various things. But actually, in combination with the context of what she was just doing before, which is where she was browsing the brochureware part of the site, she was looking at the wrong place, then maybe we can come to the conclusion, well, we've just had a site redesign. Maybe she just simply can't find a login button. Maybe she's got a disability with her vision or something like that. So those two things put together mean that we can help Emma a lot better. Now, in combination with that, most customers who do something like that would see a deflection strategy, or like something like this, where we'd say we'll contact them as soon as we can. And we might deflect her and say, well, if it looks like you're having login problems, why don't you go and read this article or whatever it is, right? So, but Emma is not a regular customer. Tealium knows that Emma is a high net worth individual from, for example, in this case, I'm going to bring in data from Snowflake, where that is stored, for example, in the cloud warehouse. And for customers who submit the contact form, who are known to be high net worth status, we can treat them separately and do something special and make them skip the queue, because we do want to talk to those people. We don't want to deflect them. So we can use an OpenAI connector for customers like that to get a sentiment analysis of their message, which is, I can't access my account, which is clearly the satisfied sentiment. Any LLM will tell you that. And we can also, in this case, I'm just showing a simple case where we just summarize what she's been doing in the visit so far. But we could summarize a lot more information than that, because again, LLMs are excellent at summarizing information for humans to quickly read as well. So when we contact OpenAI, ChatGPT is the model I was using here, one of ChatGPT 4, we can say, and it comes back as now she's a dissatisfied high net worth individual. We want to talk to her right now in the moment. So we can use the Moments IQ tag to do a site, an on-site experience for her and talk to her now. So in this case, what I'm just going to show is a simple experience, just 2 dialogues. It says, "Hey Emma, we'd love to talk to you, and we'd love to talk to you. How would you like us to contact you?" And then she can interact with this. I'll show you how that's configured in a moment. And then she can say, and then we can ask her, "When would you like us to talk to you?" And so she can say, "Well, I'd like you to phone me, and I'd like you to phone me tomorrow morning because I'm kind of busy right now." And because Tealium is real time, Teal time, maybe that's it's a new buzzword we should. We can update the CRM in real time as well, as soon as she submits that message while she's still on the site. So, so this is Salesforce, for example, is the connector I used. And we can see that in that contact screen there, we have her preference about when she'd like to be contacted, her message sentiment, and the message visit summary, as well as the actual message she sent. So now a call center agent with Emma on the phone won't have to go through Sean's experience earlier of putting all that, of starting from scratch and asking what might be wrong. We've got a lot of context about what the problem might be, and we can help her much more quickly. So how did I construct that? Well, in the core, it starts with, like lots of things in Tealium, it starts with Tealium's real-time customer data platform, which is Audience Stream. And Audience Stream, I mean, you guys all know this, I assume, but I'm going to go through it anyway. So it's been fed in this case from the browser with like Tealium IQ as a tag manager, sending the collect tag to send event payloads into Audience Stream, trickling real-time for all the visitors who are live on the site, in the app, and from other data sources as well, as we'll see in a moment. So when those collect tag events, we'd have like page interactions with the data layer, and we'd have important page views, I meant to say, in the data layer, and important page interactions as well, like, for example, as she submitted the contact form. But that's only half the recipe, because we also need to know about like the fact that she's a high-value customer. In this case, as I said, that's coming from Snowflake. And actually, I've kind of presented this in the wrong order, if you think about it, because that data is, the one I'm going to show you, that data is in already by the time she submits the contact form, we already know she's a high-value customer, because that's ringing in the background all the time. It's not like we're reaching out and asking Snowflake in the moment. That's just a business-as-usual kind of connector that we've set up. I'm going to show you now how easy it is to set up a connection to Snowflake from Audience Stream, or from Tealium server side. So we're just going to go and add a data source. In this case, it'll be the Snowflake data source, although we've got lots of others. And then you're going to give it some technical details about how to connect to Snowflake, because Tealium here is acting as a SQL client. We're going to actually send Snowflake SQL queries to get back records from Snowflake that match. I'll show you in a moment how that works. Because what we're going to do then, once we're connected, there's a wizard that's going to allow you to choose the tabular view where your data resides, and that's any tabular view that you've got access to. Soon we'll also have the ability to write custom SQL there as well, but for the moment it's just tabular view. In fact, very soon we'll have custom SQL. But once you've got your results set, once you've got your table, whatever it is, set up, or once you've got connected, once you've chosen it, then you'll do what you will do if anyone who's set up a file import in Tealium, this will be a familiar screen. What we're doing there is mapping columns that are in that tabular view. You don't have to map all of them. You can just map the ones that are important to event stream attributes. And I'm not showing on the screen here. You'd also then, for Audience Stream at least, you'd store those as Audience Stream attributes as well, so that we enrich Emma's visitor profile. And the one thing that is important to Audience Stream that you do on this screen is you specify the stitching key, which is the visitor ID attribute. Because remember, we have to join together the web data with the Snowflake data, and we do that on a common key, which is a visitor ID. It doesn't have to be an email address like it is there. That's just for the demo. It could be a hash of an email address, it could be a customer ID, it could be account ID. It doesn't matter as long as the string matches. We will do a real-time stitch. That's how this works. So when we press publish in Audience Stream, or sorry, Tealium server side, but it is Audience Stream that we're using here. What we're going to do is start sending SQL to Snowflake every so often. And by every so often, it's as often as you configure it. You can say check once a day, check once an hour, check once every 2 seconds if you wanted to get really close to real time. For anything that has changed in Snowflake. And what that means is any rows that are updated or have been inserted since the last time I asked. And yeah, that's all handled for you. So we're, like Tealium is determining the delta there. So by the time Emma submits the contact form, we already know, as I said earlier, that she's a high net worth individual. We stitch in real time. So for people who've just submitted the contact form and are high value customers, we can selectively fire the OpenAI connector to ask ChatGPT what it thinks. And this is a bi-directional connector. You'll see it in a moment as well. It's not like most of Tealium's connectors, right? They send data out to Facebook, they send data out to Google Analytics, whatever it is. But this one is a bi-directional connector. It sends a prompt to ChatGPT, and it waits for a response, and then it turns that response into an event back onto Tealium's queue, so you can enrich Emma's visitor profile. I don't know so we'll show how that works. So read about the connector at the moment. This is the actual prompt that ChatGPT model is going to receive in OpenAI. You receive this message: I cannot access my account. Please classify it into like dissatisfied, neutral, or satisfied. So clearly the sentiment there is dissatisfied in some way. The ... there is just because in reality there's a little bit more prompt. I gave it some context, like the fact that we're a financial institution. This is a contact form, that customers and prospects can fill in. But there's not much more. This is 90% of the prompt. And then also, while you're at it, ChatGPT, because might as well do all this in one go, please summarize that list into a human readable thing. I know that is already human readable, but that's just because it's a demo and I'm trying to fit it all on the screen. But this could be hundreds of things that she's done recently or in this visit. It could also be lots of audience stream attributes that we want to just summarize a picture. LLMs can do clever stuff. So summarize that into something that a human can quickly read. And I want you to respond with JSON. And the JSON should look like this, and I'll explain all these parameters in a moment. Because we're going to send that as an event back onto Tealium's queue to enrich Emma's visitor profile. And then I'm going to leave it a place to put in its sentiment analysis. I'm going to leave it a place to put in its visit summary. And then you've seen this random check value you might have noticed. I'll explain that in a moment, I promise. But yeah, so that's the prompt that ChatGPT will actually receive. Now, if you were to copy and paste what's on the screen there and put it into ChatGPT on the internet, it would respond sensibly. It would respond with something like this. Well, you asked me for JSON, so I'm just going to say JSON, nothing else. And you asked me that stuff verbatim, that line you asked me verbatim, so I'm just going to respond with that. And then the sentiment of I can't access my account is clearly dissatisfied, like I've said a couple of times. That's not hard for an LLM to do. And here's a summary of what Emma has done so far in the visit, based on that list of strings that you passed. And here's your check value back, which I'll explain in a moment. So how do we do this in Tealium? Obviously, we don't type out the prompt every time, so we parameterize it, right? Like you do with a webhook or some of the other connectors in Tealium, you have these placeholders, these double brace. This is mustache template or Trimu templating. So it's the same in the OpenAI connector, which is one of the newer connectors. So you just say, you've received this message, and here's a placeholder for the message, and Tealium will fill that in for you. You've received, and this is the action sequence of what Emma has done. There's a placeholder for that too. Summarize this, and there's a placeholder for all those things I'll explain in a moment. But this is just the rest of it is just verbatim, like it's going to pass through without substituting anything. Only the curly brace stuff is substituted or parameterized. So here's a placeholder for the sentiment analysis result, and here's a placeholder for visit summary, and for the random check value. And here's where you actually fill in those placeholders. So you map like the account and the visitor, the account, the profile, and the visitor, because remember, the connector is going to turn the response into an event onto Tealium's queue, and we have to enrich Emma's visitor profile. So we need to know the account, the profile, and the visitor to send an event to audience stream. We obviously pass the message in the sequence of actions, because that's what we asked to analyze. And we pass a trace ID as well. You'll see in the video in a moment that with that, the event that comes returned will be traceable. For anyone who doesn't know, Trace is Tealium's kind of development and debugging tool, where you can see everything that Tealium is doing server-side in real time. So it's really, it's my bread and butter. We use it all the time for making sure that the use case is working properly and for seeing exactly what it's doing. So I mentioned the check value a couple of times. The reason that was there is because, remember, Emma has just submitted a message on the browser, right? She's used the contact form to send us a message, and that event has gone to audience stream, and then we've decided to call the OpenAI connector. It's responded. We've raised an event back onto Emma's visitor profile. And in the meantime, as you'll see in the video in a moment, Emma's browser is still there, so we can run data layer enrichment to get that visitor profile back to the browser. So when you use the collect tag in Tealium IQ, and Google Tag Manager and Adobe Launch have the same thing for Tealium, you can use data layer enrichment or visitor service, it's also called, to get the visitor profile back to the browser. It's an optional part of collect tag, you don't have to use it. And that random check value, the reason I put that in there is so that we know when ChatGPT has answered, because it does take a second or so to answer, it's not instant. So we know when the responses come back. And if there's a bit more to it than I'm showing here, so if anyone wants to talk to me afterwards about like how I'm using data layer enrichment here, you can come and find me. But the important thing then is that when Emma is in the audience, like remember the audience now is high net worth individual, which we know from Snowflake, and is dissatisfied, which we know now from the OpenAI response, then we can use a Moments IQ tag to show her the rest of the experience. So a Moments IQ is a tag like any other tag, and therefore you can control it like any other tag. You can add it through Tealium IQ Tag Manager. You can set it up with some configuration, like to make it look pretty, to put an image on it, like I showed you a moment ago. You can control all the question that's asked and the answers that are possible. There's a lot more to it than I'm showing here. I'm only showing parts of it. You can style the whole thing to make it look exactly like your website. And because it's a tag, a really nice feature is that you can map all of this. It's all dynamic. So those configuration parameters about the questions to ask and about the possible answers and the styling and the image, that's all dynamic. You can, if you want to, like I'm only doing it for one parameter there, the main text, because I'm going to pass a personalized question to Emma. I'm just going to put her name into it basically for the purpose of the demo, so that so that we can show that that's dynamic. But you could also use mapping to make the tag do lots of different things, like you would with any other tag, so that you don't have several tags of Moments IQ doing different things. You can have one tag and control all from mapping. That's kind of our best practice. But so if we go back to data layer enrichment, how are we going to, what I forgot to talk about was the load rule on the left. So how does that tag know when to execute? How does it know when to show itself to Emma? Well, it shows itself when there's an event matching that load rule. That's like any other tag, that's when it executes. So all we have to do now is raise an event that matches that load rule. I'm going to do that with a function called window.tealium enrichment. I don't know if anyone knows this, but it's kind of a lesser known feature. But with data layer enrichment, if you declare a function anywhere, it's a callback, right? So if you declare a function called window.tealium enrichment, it's called for you by the collect tag if you're using data layer enrichment when the visitor profile makes it back to the browser. So, and it's passed, and the visitor profile, or at least the parts of it that you've not marked as restricted, are passed back to you in that data argument. So we can just remember, hey, we already showed this to Emma, so let's not show her again. But that's what I'm doing in that line. It's nothing really to do. It's just making sure I don't bother her with experience more than once in the session. But what's really important is, if we didn't already show it, and she isn't in the audience to see it, well, let's show it to her. So I'm going to pull out her customer, her name from one of the Snowflake fields, because that comes back also via data layer enrichment, so I can use anything that comes back. And I'm going to formulate a question to ask her, which is this dynamic little piece of text that I mapped into the tag. So I ask her, hello, Emma, we'd like to speak to you, or we'd love to speak to you, rather than just hello, we'd love to speak to you. So a little bit of personalization. And I think this is the end of the JavaScript if anyone's getting overwhelmed, but like if you call utag link or utag view in this format with these arguments, where you're passing it like a data layer object, then that's, first of all, it's matching the load rule, and secondly, it's passing that parameter to it, like to personalize the tag that we've mapped. And if you, that square brackets 2 at the end, what that means is just call tag 2, don't call any other tags, because that just kind of gets rid of any worry that you have that you'll accidentally trigger any other tags. If you call utag view or utag link like this, it just triggers the tag. It's actually an array. You can pass an array of tag IDs. And in my case, Moments IQ had tag ID 2 because that was its tag manager ID in Tealium IQ. But in your case, it'll be different because it depends what order you add your tags in. And then I'm just going to remember that I've already done it, so I don't do it again. So I don't show her the experience more than once. And when utag link is called like that, then this is what she sees on the screen, like we've seen already, right? That's what that does. And when she goes through and answers that little experience there, we'd like to talk to you, when would you like us to talk to you? When we have that answer, Moments IQ itself, as a tag, will raise events, and it will send, like any other events in the browser, and we can tap into those events and send them to audience stream. So now we know she's a high-value customer, she's dissatisfied, and she has filled in the experience about when she'd like to be contacted. So we can write that immediately, for example, to CRM. I'm not going to show that part here because, well, running out of time, but like we have lots of CRM connectors, turnkey connectors, and the one I chose just to demo was Salesforce, but you don't need to see that part. And here's actually the whole thing in action then. So here, Emma is just, this is Salesforce before we, before Emma does her thing. She's not yet on the website, let's say. This is just what's in Salesforce. I'm only showing some of the contact fields because these are the ones that are relevant to the use case. You can see they're all blank. I'm going to leave that tab open. Then we're going to go to a tab side by side with Tealium Trace running on the left and the financial website running on the right. She's about to submit her message. You can see that so far in the visit, she's done these things. So that's my sequence of actions, just as an array of strings. All I did was just add page name to array of strings. But you can add events as well. She's going to go in a moment, she'll just press contact us. And when it happens, you'll see, it's really quick, that like Trace isn't actually keeping up to date with Audience Stream. In a second, you'll see that she sees the experience, and then Trace will catch up because Trace is a bit slower than Audience Stream. So now she's seen the experience, right, in pretty much real time. It didn't matter if she stayed on the same page or she moved to another page. She'd see that within a couple of seconds. And we see on the left what's happened in Trace is that ChatGPT has responded and said that that sentiment is dissatisfied, and here's a visit summary of what she did. Now she's going to go and fill in the rest of the form, and she says she'd like to be contacted tomorrow morning. And as soon as she submits that, again, just displaying the real-time nature, we'll now go to Salesforce and refresh the screen, and we'll see that that's up to date. As soon, I don't know how to show the contact refreshed in Salesforce apart from refreshing it like that, but there you go, it's up to date. So if anyone would like to come and talk to us or talk to me about that use case or any other use cases involving AI or any other use cases at all, then please come and find us at the Genius Bar or just come and find me. You'll see my name is Mark Redden, got my tag on normally, so you can find me.
Hi, so today I'm going to talk to you about AI, because you haven't heard enough and you absolutely need my hot take on the topic, so bear with me. So what we're going to talk today about is the AI expectations versus reality. In JobCloud, the company that I work for, we had some expectations towards how AI and user interaction with AI would work, and we were faced with some realities, and today we're going to discuss it. Right now, it seems like in our private life and at work, everything we talk about is AI, and there is this huge new technology that enters our life, yet again altering it, like many technologies before. I don't know about you, but when I was growing up for a couple of years, I used the rotary phone. Do you know what that is? Yeah, that's great. I am quite that old, but not entirely, because it was Soviet Union, so it was a bit different. Yes, so that technology allowed my mother to parent me on a distance. And by parent, I mean to call me every now and again and tell me to go clean my room, which I obviously ignored because, well, again, distance, she can't really reach me. Yes, and then later on, when I was a teen, the internet arrived, and it gave me the opportunity to apply for the universities in the US, in Austria, in Germany, and consequently stand here before you. All of which I did totally not to get away from my mother and her telling me to go clean my room. But thank you for that. But basically, we are having this new era, new AR era coming, and it's very exciting to see what it will bring into our lifetimes. And I hope that one day we will finally redefine what a lifetime actually means. So as you can clearly tell by a very lengthy preamble of this presentation, my mom was a writer, my aunt was an art historian, and I work in tech field somehow. I have no idea how it ended up here, but I think because new technologies, they excite me so much, and I have a massive FOMO when it comes to it. FOMO means fear of missing out. This phrase was widely used when back in the day when millennials were cool. Not anymore. But yes, here we all are. My name is Anelia Filatova. You can butcher my name as you want, but it's getting better every time. And this is a brand new promotion. I'm a head of web tracking since 2 weeks. Thank you so much. I appreciate, yes. I'm very proud. I still didn't manage to ride all the wave of yet that, so you're here with my wave. But hey, we are here to talk about this particular topic, and in order to grasp this world of never-ending, seemingly unstoppable opportunities that this new technology gives us, I think it's important to do two things. One is to define your area of influence, and two, to focus on one thing at a time. So shall we do that? Focus on that one thing. Yes, thank you. So we're going to talk about the application of AI in JobCloud to one particular feature, which is basically calculating a job fit score for a user when the user is looking at a particular job ad. So to do that, we will look at JobCloud as a player on the market. We will set the scene. We will also talk in particular how that particular feature functions. And then, of course, we're going to talk about the feedback that we gathered working with that feature through Moments IQ. And we will look at the feedback from both employee and employer side. So to set the scene, I would like to introduce JobCloud. JobCloud is a job search platform, and it focuses on Swiss market. To understand JobCloud, I think you need to understand Switzerland. So I would like you to imagine yourself in Switzerland. To do that, what you need to do is that you need to imagine that you sit on a green grass field somewhere with beautiful flowers over there. And I want you to imagine beautiful, stunning mountains all around with like snow on the tops, you know, stunning. I want you to imagine a very crisp mountain air with a slight hint of cow poo somewhere far, far away. And I would like you to imagine like piles of money just lying on that field, just there. So once you imagine that, I think it's very safe to imagine you grasp Switzerland. Yes, and JobCloud is the platform that creates job postings and allows thousands of people apply for a job and look for the next employee. So we have around 7 million people visits per month. Which is huge, taking into account that Switzerland has a total population of 9 million. Of course, we also work with France, Italy, Germany, and Austria, and you know, all of the people come to our platforms as well, looking for a job somewhere in Switzerland. We have a huge penetration on the B2C side of the country. Obviously, we have connections to vast media so networks within Switzerland and regional job boards and etc. But we also have a very strong connection to the B2B side. We are working with more than 50,000 employers in Switzerland, and mostly we cover huge employers who, of course, offer the most amount of job postings. So that's quite exciting for us to be in the center of Swiss job market, and the fact that we are very locally based allows us to be very approachable for both seekers and employers. So this is the scene. Now we're going to talk about the AI feature. So somehow all of you got employed, and potentially that was through applying for jobs. And I'm very sorry, but you will have to relive that experience right now with me. Bear with me. So when the user comes to our platforms, they have an opportunity to calculate the job fit. Basically, we use an AI technology to analyze the CV of the user and their profile and match it against the job requirements. And then we will display a score or indicator for that particular user to see how well they match the particular job ad. In our heads, our expectations were that that would support the users to basically decide which job ads they want to apply, basically saving them time and effort to only apply for jobs that they are a great fit for and have highest probability of getting hired. But we will see about that. On the other hand, we also have job fit score for the employers. And so what we do there is we also analyze user profile and match it against the job requirements and give an opportunity for the employer to see what are the candidates that are best fit for their role. We thought, and that's what was our expectation, that the users actually, the B2B... too bad. You've seen the slide. Well, it comes back, I think. It's safe to... Oh, no, here we go. So basically, our idea was that the B2B customer would then minimize the manual screening process and would focus on best fit candidates, allowing them to fast speed their hiring process. So basically, our expectations were that the B2C customers would apply for the jobs that they're a great fit for, and the B2B customers would hire those that have, great fit for their roles. So However, we faced the reality of things. Any guesses what that would be? Okay, you just can think of your guesses and you can tell me later. But here goes the reality. So over here you see applicants with poor job fit scores, and here is the number of applications as the job score rises. So it was very fascinating for us to see that there are so many applicants with poor job fit scores applying for job ads. That was not our expectation. In JobCloud, we were expecting people to apply for the job fits, for the job that are fitting them very well. And you know, you might think, okay, but the perfect fit is a quite rare find, so that would explain it. But there are so many AI tools that allow you to alter your CV in seconds to fit any job profile that we were expecting, at the very least, an even distribution, maybe a normal distribution, but not at all what we're observing here. So we were very interested to see how come and why that happened. So we looked further. As you can hear, what you can see is the conversion rate for application of all the users who saw the job fit score versus those who didn't. And you can clearly see that people apply much more likely to a job that they've seen a job fit score to, even though it is low, than those who haven't. Which means that users are fully aware that they are applying for the job fit that they are unsuited for, seemingly unsuited for, and even though they go ahead. Of course, you can see that the perfect fit conversion rates are much higher, right? So users apply confidently when the fit is perfect. But you can still see that there is quite a strong conversion for also poor fit candidates. And so we were very puzzled by this, and we were wondering why. And we didn't come up with anything better than to ask. And so we started using Moments IQ, a survey, to actually ask that question. So what's the question? We have asked users several things. We asked the users of those who had low fit scores and applied for the job anyways. We asked them why. We asked them if they think that the algorithm didn't analyze their CV properly. We asked them if their CV perhaps doesn't fully capture their skills. We asked them if they just wanted to take a chance. We asked them if they didn't notice the score. We asked them if AI is just not something they trust. And we gave them, of course, an opportunity to give us an open-ended response. I want you to look at that and give me store it in your head, what would be your best bet of why the users applied anyways? Because for me, for sure, I was completely wrong. But, you know, the more you learn. So what we did with Moments IQ templates, we edited it a bit. We made sure that we can display multiple questions in the same module. And we also normalized the questions and answer to make sure that they are language agnostic, to make sure that they are stored in a proper way and are easier to analyze. Yeah? Cool. Everybody got their best guess? Amazing. All right. So how did we set it up? This is like the only semi-technical slide that you will see, so bear with me. So first up, we identified the cases. What we looked at is basically we looked at the users that looked at the job ad and recorded a low fit. And that event went to event database. From there, we created a visitor scope attribute with all the job IDs that the user had a poor fit for. And that through the data layer enrichment sent back to the browser. After, we looked at when the user has been applying for job ads, and then we verified, checked, matched the job ID of the user application against the user attribute. And in case of a match, the survey was exposed. So when the user gave reply to the survey or the user closed the survey, we obviously stopped annoying the user with that as to not to disturb our valuable user flows on the website. All right, got it? Yes, great. So the next thing in the next slide is an actual responses. Do you all remember what was your bet? Okay, good. So here are the responses. Who got it right? Well, maybe I'll tell you and then we get the guessing game. So the top answer with 39% is the CV was not analyzed correctly. It ignores parts of my CV. So basically, that is a dig at the technology, that is a dig at the fact that AI feature didn't deliver. With the 38%, just 1% lower, is the amount of users who saw the low fit score and ignored it and decided to take a chance anyways. For me, that's amazing because it encourages people to just go for what they want, people to just take a chance with their future. At 17%, that's actually a really important category because this is the category of people who say that my CV doesn't fully capture my skills. And that is usually a sign of a career switchers, those users who just decide to go a different path at some point in their lives. And those users, the career switchers, those users with transferable skill set usually have the hardest time moving past AI walls. Obviously, because the algorithm can go so far. And this is definitely something that we will incorporate in our technology as it evolves. And only 6%, a little bit below 6%, state that they just don't trust AI in general. I was expecting a much, much higher number here. But this is what we see, and to me, this is a very positive response, because we see that people do trust AI and do want to use it, and just sometimes the technology fails them, but we can get there. Okay, who guessed correctly the top answer? You want to show the hands? Yay! Whose top answer was one of the three? Yeah, that's great. Well, your answer was much better guess than mine, because I thought that it will be the 6% thing. And you know. And then you, of course, can read the user comments, right? Because we offer the open response, which I think I totally encourage everyone to do. It's the best, and it's so much fun. Because you see the differences in, like, because we operate in Switzerland is French, Italian, and German market, right? So you have the differences in national specificities, you know what I mean. Specifics, here we go, that was much easier, that you can accustom to. And one of the responses stated, "Ich entscheide mir selber," which in passive-aggressive British way would sound something like, "Oh, I should like to decide for myself, thank you." So that means that the people just wanted to have an autonomy over their decision-making in their life. On the French side, you see people applying for job ads without any experiences and stating that I'm just passionate about fashion. And I was like, same girl, same. Anyway, so you see so many differences. There are a lot of people who commented on the fact that AI was not working properly, that their CV was not fully captured. One person wrote that the CV analysis haven't worked properly since January 2026. So that sent our engineers into stress heaves. But yeah, well, I mean, there is the life of engineer, I guess. So now we can discuss what employers say about the job fit feature. Any guesses how that might go? Okay, hold on to your guesses. Here's how it went. So here you can see that the positive response rate, obviously in green, raises as the job score rises. So you see you have quite a few share of positive responses for higher fit candidates. However, in my head, people with very poor scores still got significant amount of positive responses on the B2B side. So to me, that was quite interesting to see. And if you look a bit further into the Sankey diagram, that is particularly fascinating. Because even people with poor fit scores manage to get and attract attention of employers and move on to the next stage. Why? Perhaps because the on-paper fit doesn't really fully capture the human being, and there is something more to every person that attracts employers' attention. It is also very interesting to see that you have good and moderate scores that actually lead to people being attracted in a much more so scale than the positive fit. And I personally think it's because, sometimes a person with diverse interests and diverse experiences is just a bit more interesting conversation partner, a bit more exciting to talk to than someone that is like absolutely on the same path all their lives. And then if you look at the perfect fit, it's also not that flawless as you can imagine, because you would think that people with perfect fit would definitely go to the second stage, but no, you see a large scale of them just never ever making it to the second round. And the amount of the perfect fit candidates that make it there to the next stage is quite low. And you might think, why? And I do think it's because the diversity of the human experience is something that is more valued right now, or maybe perhaps perfection is just too boring. So to me, this was very fascinating, and I think that technology, it always in some way subtly mirrors what it is to be a human. And I think it's exciting for me to see that like in real life, like in maybe perhaps your dating history, sometimes we give chances to people we probably shouldn't have, but it ends up working out. And for me, it did anyways. Thank you so much. Thank you.
We have a mic, so anyone who has a question for any of our speakers, could be about the use cases, could be about some of the technical topics, feel free to raise your hand and we'll bring a mic to you. So the recording can also know what question you ask.
Hi, thank you. I had a question on EssilorLuxottica. So thank you for the presentation, but the discussion went pretty fast, and at some point in the slide it was written that on the people who abandon the personalization flow journey, you try to understand why they abandon, and I miss how you do that.
Well, actually, we didn't. It is an idea to do, because, you know, when you have a configurator, people can use it in two ways. One is to purchase the product, which is what we all hope for in the e-commerce team. And the other one is like, you know, just to provide an estimation or something like that. So we thought that most of those second use cases weren't fully, you know, understood and managed when they return to the website. So my idea here is to use, like Anelia just told, Tealium IQ to make a survey when they start that kind of journey in order to understand which are the actual motivations, so you can expect something to happen in an actual personalized way when they come back to the website, so you know why they're back again. If you have this full picture of them. Happy to answer. Thank you.
Hi. So I have some questions regarding connectors for instance, OpenAI, ChatGPT, etc. So I work in a company where we have a lot of sensitive customer data, and we do have some legislation that requires us to be really mindful of what data we are sending to connectors. So do you have like any new connectors to enterprise AI connectors where you're taking this into account?
Well, all of Tealium's connectors respect restricted data, so it'll warn you if you can mark attributes in audience stream or event stream as restricted. If you send those to connectors, it'll warn you that you're sending restricted data. So that answers half your question, I suppose.
Okay.
The other half would be, do we have any connectors to enterprise AI? Is that what the second half was?
Yeah, for instance, like if we have a Copilot Enterprise or ChatGPT Enterprise, like because then we're using like our own data and it's in our own like ecosystem.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Well, one example is we have a new Amazon Bedrock connector, so you can, yes, and we do have, we will have, or we do already have connectors to other similar enterprise-grade AI as well. That OpenAI example was just something that's easy to set up for a marketer, right? But it's, yeah, you're right, it is using public ChatGPT, so, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe to add to that, like one of the recent connectors that we released was indeed like the Bedrock one for AWS, and the OpenAI one and the Google Vertex one. So those all operate roughly in the same way as you saw in Mark's demo. So it's bidirectional. So you have a prompt sent to the model environment, and whatever is returned, Tealium listens and ingests the event and uses it accordingly. Of course, on top of that, we also have our integrations with any data backend. So in case you run your own models inside of your data cloud or warehouse, then you can use those connectors as well to feed the data to your own ecosystems fundamentally.
So you mean like a webhook, for example, if we didn't have a built-in connector for...
That's also possible.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Nope. Last chance. Okay, great. Oh, yeah, see, always. I knew it. Just have to wait long enough.
Hi. So maybe this is an kind of an open question and open idea which came to my mind based on the business concept our company works, that is Treehouse from Netherlands. So we do have a B2B application plus B2C applications for rental aggregator platforms. So where people come and apply for a property based on they are looking for rent. And we do have it for real estate agents who come and select the people who have applied for the property. So we are just in an initial state where we have set up Tealium and everything. So I just wanted to understand a point of view where this Moment IQ can be used in a way that both our B2B side people as well as B2C people, we are able to understand them that maybe they are applying to the right property, and the real estate agent could save time where they can understand maybe if 200 people have applied to a single property, they can have top 5 people without even looking manually at everything. So I was just it was thinking in my mind, but then I thought maybe if I can have very layman answer or initial setup where we can start thinking about it, maybe from the audience as well, if somebody has a good opinion, since everybody works in the same industry. So yeah, that's it.
You want a more technical answer to that or a more conceptual answer?
Conceptual answer at this point.
Okay. Well, then I'll take it, I guess. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, and as we've seen also in Andrea's presentation, then, we can apply Moments IQ to both B2C as well as B2B scenarios. The thing you need to conceptualize fundamentally is what is the data that's going to be triggering the experience, and what is the data that you actually want to connect. Because obviously, in the end, it's just simply asking the visitor, asking them a question, but you want to use the answer of that question to make their experience either more personalized or to just get additional insights about why they're visiting and what they're going to be doing. But that could apply to B2C environments as well as B2B. And as Mark was showing in his demonstration is, there's a lot of control into when do you want to load this experience, either through load rules, something pretty traditional for tag management, but also based on behaviors that we collect. For example, through the data layer enrichment that Mark's also shown, we get visitor profile data back, right? So we can use that information also to decide when to load a specific experience or a specific question. So I guess the question back to you is like, what are the key kind of things that you want to know, both across B2C and across B2B? And then start thinking about, okay, what kind of criteria do we need to meet in order for us to display or show that question or that piece of experience?
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Maybe it triggered another question. Cool. All right, then before closing it off, can I get a big round of applause for our speakers? And I think especially, grateful for customers to come up on stage, tell their stories, tell their experiences, and the great things that they are doing, with Tealium in the likes of customer data orchestration. So we've seen, real use cases, real examples of personalization, AI being used, and all of that fueled, by our platform, which is great to see. So I want to get an extra round of applause for both our speakers today, our customers today, Gabriele and Andrea. Now, I want to thank you as well, of course, for joining today's session. I hope it was useful, and we provided you with a lot of insights and new pieces of information that you can use within your own businesses. With Tealium, of course, I just put on the slide with the summarizing benefits of Tealium's real-time customer orchestration platform. But if I would summarize it maybe in a sentence, I think, with Tealium we allow you to move from providing blind, repetitive customer experience to really providing real-time orchestrated journeys that are better for the customer as well as better for you as a business to drive business outcomes.